morning, friends. A quick video about how to adjust to the time zone. We're doing an international trip coming up soon where we're going from Phoenix, which is Mountain Standard Time, Pacific Daylight Time, to Tanzania and Kenya, which is GMT +3. So there's a 10-hour time zone change. The first time we flew internationally, we went to South Africa, and with a stopover in London first. It was about a 7 or 8 hour time zone change from Phoenix to London. And so what we did is the 6 weeks leading up to our trip, I really didn't waste time with jet lag. We were only going to be in London for 5 days, and I'd be able to see as much of it as possible. So 6 weeks in advance of our trip, we started getting up an hour earlier each day. So instead of getting up, let's say 7, the first week we got up at 6, and then we got up at 5, and we got up at 4, we got up at 3, and that final week before we left on the trip, we were getting up at 2 in the morning. And so 2 in the morning was roughly 9 in the morning London time. So we get up at 2 in the morning, and school didn't start until 8, and so we had 6 hours before school started. So we did all of our packing, and we actually did a lot of training with our kids. We practiced walking in a straight line. Our kids were pretty little at the time. Walking in a straight line, and we had different formations. We had lion formation. We had airport security formation, where you had to go with your buddy, and we set up our dining room table like an airport security scan. So everyone bring their luggage down, and they'd have the right buddies, and they'd go through, they'd put their suitcase up on the table like it was the security thing, and then they'd walk through 2 other chairs like it was the checkpoint, and they had to get their buddy through the checkpoint on time, and just practiced a lot because we needed to have something to do at that time. But it made it so much nicer when we arrived in London because we were already basically on the right time zone. And so we were able to adjust quickly and really enjoy our trip. So every time since then, we adjust myself as best as possible. So we're 10 days out. We have state conference this weekend, so we probably won't do anything until Monday. Starting Monday, we're going to start getting up earlier each day, so we can at least start to adjust. Scientists say that you can adjust 1 hour per day when you're trying to change time zones. So we're going to try and get as many days in as possible, wake up as early as possible to get adjusted to that new time zone change. But the other thing that's really critical, and that's what I'm going to talk about mostly in this video today, is as soon as you leave for the airport, start thinking about the time zone where you will be ending up at. And so 10 hours ahead, if you leave for the airport at noon, think about the fact that it's already 10 p.m. in Tanzania, and start thinking of your sleep schedule. And so in advance of that, you're going to want to look at your schedule, look at your itinerary, and plan out when should I be sleeping on the plane, and when should my kids be sleeping, and then bring medication to assist with that. So I'm going to go through a couple of the 2 common itineraries that we have so people can see how I would go about planning that. Here I have up an itinerary of a group that's traveling with us. They'll be leaving Phoenix at 7:25 a.m. on September 30th, flying through Atlanta, and then going from Atlanta to Amsterdam, from Amsterdam to Kilimanjaro. And we actually have a lot of people flying on different itineraries who will arrive in Amsterdam together, then all take the same flight down to Kilimanjaro. Here on the right-hand side, I actually have a website I found called Time Zone Converter. And you put in the cities you're going to, and then what time you want to look at, and it'll tell you what the time is in that city. So right here, if we look at, this group will be leaving Phoenix at 7:35. So 7:35 a.m. is 5:30 p.m. in Arusha, Tanzania. So great, 7:30, be awake. This is a 3 hour and 40-minute flight to Atlanta, so they should just stay awake on this flight, which is fine. It's 7 in the morning, they're not going to be wanting to go to sleep. So you get to Atlanta, your flight from Atlanta leaves at 3:25 p.m. So I'm going to come over here to Atlanta, change this time to 3. So 3:35 p.m. you're leaving Atlanta, which is 10:30 p.m. in Arusha. So the key for me, if I was flying on this flight, would be, and this is an 8.5 hour flight, my key would be sleep. You're landing in Amsterdam at 6 a.m. If it was 6 a.m. in Phoenix and you counted back 8 hours from that, you'd be sleeping that whole time. So even though it's 3 in the afternoon Atlanta time and only 12:30 Phoenix time, you need to sleep as much as possible on this flight. So as soon as I got on board, I would be taking melatonin, taking Benadryl, giving all the kids Benadryl, because it's going to take half hour or so to kick in. and hopefully get everyone to sleep as much as possible on this flight. I'd probably tell the kids, hey, don't watch movies. You just need to sleep. Because this is the key. If you're able to sleep on this flight through a combination of will and medication, you'll be golden. Because you'll wake up after having essentially a full night's sleep, and now you've woken up and you're on Amsterdam time. So then when you're leaving Amsterdam, it's going to be 10 a.m. I clicked on the wrong one. Which is, it's only an hour difference to Arusha, 11:35. So you want to, this is the next key. So on this flight from Atlanta to Amsterdam, you want to be sleeping as much as possible, that entire flight. On the flight from Amsterdam to Kilimanjaro, you do not want to sleep. You have to be giving your kids tablets, telling them you cannot sleep, give them snacks. If they start dozing off, and wake them up. And again, the combination of doing that on those two flights will mean when you arrive in Kilimanjaro at 8 p.m., it's going to take an hour or two to get through customs and immigration, get to the hotel. So it'll be 10 p.m. when you get to the hotel. As soon as you get to the hotel, go to sleep. And then you're on the right schedule. You've gone to bed at 10, local time, and you wake up the next morning and you're good to go. So that's how I look at international travel and plan out our sleeping schedule in advance so that we can adjust the time zone as quickly as possible. I'm going to pull up another itinerary and show you another itinerary that our group is doing. Here's another itinerary that we have people traveling on. So this group is leaving at 3:43 from Phoenix in the afternoon, which is already 1 in the morning in Tanzania and Qatar, and they're flying through Dallas. So if at all possible, try and nap on this flight, because the next flights are going to be crazy, because already 1 in the morning, you want to be sleeping. Now, this group will have 2.5 hours in Dallas, so they leave Dallas over here, and you can see I changed the cities over here. They leave Dallas at 10:50 p.m., which is already 6 in the morning in Tanzania and Qatar. Now, this flight is 14.5 hours, so it's an entire day. Even if you were to say, hey, we'll sleep for 7 hours of that, that's only half the flight. And so in this scenario, because you're getting on the plane, even though it's 11 o'clock at night in Dallas and 9 o'clock at night in Phoenix, I would be telling the kids, stay awake for the first half of the flight. You need to stay awake for 7 hours of this 14.5 hour flight. So, yeah, watch movies, eat snacks, don't give any medication, and stay awake as much as you can. And because you'll be staying awake for 7 hours until basically, what's that? Let's change it to Dallas at 5 a.m. You stay awake for 7 hours, then you're starting to go to bed at 4 a.m. Phoenix time. So it's basically staying up until 4 Phoenix time and then finally go to sleep and sleep for as long as possible, because when you arrive in Qatar, it's 9 p.m. And so you need to figure out a way to adjust. And then you're looking at the Qatar to Tanzania. This is a 5 hour and 40-minute flight, and you're landing at 7:30 a.m. And so you're going to want to sleep this entire flight. As soon as, again, another case where sleep on the flight, the second half of the flight from Dallas to Doha, and then stay awake the entire time of your layover, which I think here is 4.5 hours. Stay awake, explore the Doha airport, which is amazing. It's a huge airport, lots of things to see and do. Just keep walking around, so that when you get on that flight from Doha to Kilimanjaro, and because this flight is short enough, taking Benadryl and melatonin while you're standing in line to board, so that it kicks in as soon as you're taking off, and you can just sleep that entire 5 hours and 40 minutes. And then once you get to Kilimanjaro to Tanzania, you just have to stay awake all day. And that's going to be hard. You can go to bed early at night. If you want to go to bed at 8 or 9 p.m., great. But you've got to stay awake, because if you take a nap on this day, that's going to kill you for the whole rest of the trip. You're just going to be off. Your body will not be able to adjust, or it'll be difficult to adjust. So you got to stay awake. As soon as you get there, you'll be going through customs, getting on a bus, and going straight to the drill site where we're drilling a well for a school. So that'll be active and keep you engaged, and hopefully keep everyone awake until evening time. So those are my little tips for how to adjust to the new time zone as quickly as possible, so you can maximize our time in country and enjoy your time there. Hope it helped.